As a child, we all long for a hero. As a society as a whole, we search for that leader that can be our hero. But as we mature and as we grow, it dawned on us that the hero is inside every one of us. And in the world's social media, we all start at zero. And slowly we search deep within ourselves to find who we are. And we have that moment of truth where we embrace that the hero that we've been searching for has been there all along. It is living deep inside of every one of us. And we start embracing that journey and we become that hero that we search for.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to episode 15 of Zero to Hero. Today, we are meeting with special guest Isaac Lee Collins. He is the owner of 3 Yogurtini franchises in the Kansas City metro area. And the cool thing about Isaac is he's got a great origin story, which we are going to talk about today. So let's go ahead and bring in Isaac Lee Collins and Kevin Quat.
Hey, Isaac. So,
Hey.
welcome to the show. So excited to
man.
have you. I know Isaac and I have known each other for a number of years now. So I remember when you just started. I think it's got to be like 7 years.
Yeah. Well, first off, thank you for having me. I'm super excited to be here. Always a pleasure to connect with you and whatnot. It's been 7 years being back in Kansas City. I came from Iowa, so it's been awesome, man. Seeing how you guys have grown over the years.
We have, and I know your business have been thriving as well. So, and it's always exciting. You know, you and I have a passion for diversity and inclusion and different things like that. And also, we understand what it takes to be a small business owner because, it's a real struggle, right? Balancing family, the business. Yep. So let's get started. So in a couple of sentences, give me your elevator pitch about you, but more about Isaac Collins rather than your business.
Oh gosh. So I am Isaac Lee Collins, born to 2 amazing parents who struggled a big part of their life, and a lot of their struggles and triumphs have been implemented into me and kind of built and bred who I am. I love to champion independence and freedom, and that has definitely led me to entrepreneurship. At a young age, I looked around and saw how things worked and saw how the future of work was going to go for me. And I said that I love to be able to be my own person and show up fully every single place I am. And that kind of melded into having to be at the top of the hierarchy, if you will, so I can not only make the decisions, but also allow other people to be as free as they can possibly be inside the organization that I'm running. And so it's landed me here to be able to build a life that is autonomous, that build a life that is fun, and to build a life that is full of love. And I feel really going against status quos and norms, which I really love, kind of going against that, which is the making of an entrepreneur, I feel like. But yeah, it's just been a great 33-year journey.
That's awesome. So tell us a little about, since we're a digital marketing agency, right? So we do a lot of different social media things. But what about your social media journey? What has that looked like? Because I have seen it over the years, right? You've become much more active now. So I would love to hear that.
Yeah, so I would say I've always been active, but it's kind of switched and changed as far as social media is concerned as social media has evolved. And so, got on all social media sites, mainly the 2. The big one for me has always been Facebook. It's just my generation, being 33, got on when I was in high school, and just like everyone else, just use it as fun. Until I was 23, became a business owner. And since then, I've been doing social media marketing. So I've been doing that for 10 years. And, I loved it back in the day because you could post something, get 150 likes. Those days are over. Organic reach like that doesn't exist anymore on business pages. But then it melds into all these other different profiles. And one of the things that I think is amazing that's been there for the longest time, that I think we're just now starting to understand, is the combination of good marketing, high quality, that kind of stuff, with being able to know the person or the people, the faces behind the brand. And so I've always kind of been someone who's wanted to showcase my interest and who I am through the business. And I didn't really know how to label that early on, but now I know it's literally having a personal brand and combining that with the product or service that we actually sell, that allows people to connect to the brand higher than just what they're buying, higher than the cup of frozen yogurt or the cup of coffee that they're buying or the digital services they're doing with you. If you have a business, there's dozens of other ones out there that are just like you. So why would they buy what you have to offer versus all the other competitors that are out there? And I think that that's just been more prevalent, and I've definitely understood that more. Um, and so if you've seen my journey, which I know you have, the last couple of years, it's been more on just showing the humanity of Isaac, who I am, my interests, but also just how I look at things differently and combining people to that mission.
That's awesome. And I think, we grew up, our day and age, right, where people say, hey, you keep business separate from your personal, you know,
Yep.
and you see that evolve over the years, right? You got people like Gary Vaynerchuk, he does keep his actual family business, family life very separate, but there is an amount of authenticity. And I think people don't understand it's not you're throwing out all your dirty laundries on social media, but there
Yep.
is the balance, right? Like
Hmm.
who you are as a person, you have a purpose, you have an intention, and there's a why behind what you do. No one just start a business to start a business.
Yep.
I would highly not recommend that. But there's
100%.
a reason why we did it. So, and people want to hear that because that's what people connect with. It's not always a product or a service. They connect with the people behind the brand.
Yep.
Yep.
Yep. 100%. Yeah. I mean, I definitely understand that. And I definitely agree with that as well. You have to connect with what's behind the brand, and there's people behind that brand. So as we even continue to go in this more realm of working from home and online and social, all that kind of stuff, there's still this element of wanting a human to human connection. And that is a beautiful thing. And that's why, again, I wanted to own my own business so I can create the business how I wanted to create the business. My first several jobs were, I worked at big corporations and they were all about money, 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 money. And that's great for them, but it's not great for the ones who are the lower level people doing the work. And I was that lower level person and I didn't enjoy what I was experiencing. I felt like I had to stop who I was at the door to do the work, and then I could resume being me whenever that shift stopped. I didn't like that. So that was one of the things that kind of sparked it for me, is allowing every single person who works for me to be their whole self inside the business, and also connected their interests to what we're doing here. Let them have a voice when it comes to it, and allow their face to be seen and exude through the brand. I mean, even if you are a company that you don't want to show your face necessarily, you can do it in a way where you can show your heart, so you can feel there's a human behind this versus just this corporation that is pushing a product and you can tell that it's just about the money.
And ever since the pandemic, right, it has changed so much the workforce overall. And you hear all these companies struggling with, the Great Recession that everyone's talking about. But the truth is, like, do you create a brand or a culture where people want to work for you, and what are you putting out there? Like, I always talk about, like, hey, before you go work for a company, look at their Glassdoor reviews. What are people saying about the corporation, and
Yep.
overall, how does their employees feel? Because that's a good pulse on, hey, is this a good place to apply for? And that's so important in today's world, because nowadays, when we were home during the pandemic, people are getting smarter, man. 8 to 5, and you expect me to take a bullet for you and being underpaid,
Yep.
there's a reason why people don't want to work for certain places, So I think companies need to be aware of that. And it's not just, people aren't just looking for a good salary, but they're looking for, hey, I want to be stress free. I want to be happy. I want to feel like I have a voice and there's a purpose behind what I do. Yep.
Yeah, no, you nailed it. So there are certain industries that are struggling with this. It's hospitality, it's food, it's retail. Those positions are underpaid usually. They're customer facing. They have to take a lot of the brunt of the issues that's going on. And so those are the industries that are struggling. But if we even zoom in on those industries in particular, there are some people who are really struggling, some whole corporate and franchise systems that are struggling, but there are some that are not struggling because they already had it built in, or they pivoted to create a culture and a community that was more inclusive, and inclusive by how people look, gender, sex, all those kinds of things, race, but also the inclusivity of like thought. And yes, there's a hierarchy because there has to be a boss, but everyone has a voice at that company. And so the ones who have either always been like that or pivoted in certain ways, they are not having the same problem with staffing because they're allowing their people to bring themselves to the whole business. They're allowing their people to feel a part of the bigger vision, but not only from a place of, hey, we're up here, we're going to create the vision and you're going to live it out. More from a place of, let's craft this together. Here's what we have to achieve, but how we get there, let's figure that out as a team. That is empowering, man. Like if I'm just working somewhere and I'm making minimum wage or somewhere close to it, and the boss is asking me, what do I think? And my opinion matters, I will run through the wall for that business. And so the ones that are doing that are really excelling and aren't having this issue with the great resignation, the great reset, the quiet quitting, all these different things that keep happening. And I'll also say these movements aren't random, like these aren't coming out of nowhere because, we like to say the generation below us is lazy and all that kind of stuff. Well, I don't think that's true. I think that there's certain ways that they want to be serviced, and it changes every generation. And unfortunately, right now, this generation wants to be treated a certain way, and we can sit here and complain about it, or we can figure it out and be able to serve them better. And that's where we're at. We have 50 employees in our busy season, which we just came out of, and 46 of them are between the age of 14 and 22. So that's a big gap between the age of my managers and the age of my shift leaders and my team members. How do we serve them? How do we know what they want? How do we know what their interests are? How do we know how to speak to them in certain ways? And some things are very concrete in how you run a business, but the other things that are not, that's what you have to figure out with your team, not just a study or asking your other business owner or C-level friends, because they may be out of touch as well. So let's talk to our teams and figure out, hey, what do you want? Like, what does this look like for you? What are we doing here that we're missing? And a lot of times they'll tell you, are we going to listen, or are we going to think that we know it all?
Yep, because those people are on the front lines. They're the ones that are customer client facing, they're getting the true pulse of your business day in and day out. And while we're talking about this topic too, I think it also reflects to your social media content as a business, right? In the past, what I've seen a lot is social media content is always, hey, I'm selling something, or hey, here's my product, like, here's my yogurt, here's our, fall sale. But we aren't highlighting the smile factor of the employees, the people having a good time, the fun elements of, hey, what does Sherry like? Opposed to Sherry, her favorite flavor or whatever. And now I'm starting to see, you see in Starbucks and everything, right? It's that human element. They do a good job of showcasing, hey, we have happy employees, Yep. And they are all colors, all sexes. Yep. So, yeah. So every superhero has a defining moment. What is yours in your life and career?
Ooh, gosh, that's a good one. Oh man, I have a couple that come to mind right now. I would say before I became an entrepreneur, it was there were a couple times in my younger years where I felt very much like I didn't belong. I felt like I wasn't
Mm,
included in what was going on with the people around me. And just to go a little bit deeper, so it's in the surface level, because I definitely don't like that. I was one of three black kids in my school. In a school of 800, there was three of us. In a town of 5,000, there was like 10. And those were like the parents of the three of us. And so it was hard sometimes growing up. And again, I'm not a victim. I had an amazing life growing up, amazing friend group and whatnot. But inherently, just being such a not many people like me around me, it hurt me in the way of not feeling like I belonged. Okay, so that kind of stuck with me, and that was a defining moment because I saw how that affected me, but I also saw my friends, most of them were white. I saw how it affected them, not in that regard, but they had their own battles they were struggling and they felt like they didn't belong in one way or another. And so I felt like that way in one regard when it came to race. They felt that way when it came to whatever that would have been. The fact that they wear glasses, the fact that they're overweight, the fact that they tried to get the starting spot and didn't get it, and they felt like they weren't good enough or they didn't belong or they weren't included. And so I was like, man, this is a big human condition of feeling like you aren't good enough. Um, and so that was a big moment for me where I was like, when I do get in a spot where I am over people or in charge of people or leading people, how can I create an ecosystem where everyone feels like they do belong in whatever regard? Do I do that successfully 100% of the time? I bet not, because no one's perfect. But I definitely have tried to more so. And that was a big defining moment for me. Another one actually last year, actually earlier this year, was defining. And I want to bring this up because I think you can have success and still be learning along the way. You don't get to a certain spot where you're like, oh, I made it and I don't deal with any problems and I don't struggle. Well, I've been at this for 10 years and I pride myself on being an employee's employer. But I had 3/4 of my team walk out on us because of a handful of reasons, but one of the main ones was the feedback that I got from a parent was they felt like the owners didn't care about them. And the reason why I knew I was too far detached was what they said was Isaac, the owners, Isaac and Rachel. Well, my wife is a co-owner, obviously, she's my wife, but she doesn't have anything to do with the business. And so I was so far away from those employees that they said that my wife and I, as a collective, didn't care about them. And like, I didn't even know their names. And I knew that
mm,
I failed because even if I am a hands-off owner or working from home so I can be around my family, there was something that my Gen Z team wanted. They wanted to have a relationship with them. And as I kind of thought about that, I'm like, they are a super relational bunch. And if my managers are talking about Isaac and Rachel and Isaac and Rachel, they don't know Isaac and Rachel. They feel like our franchise system is just another big corporate thing when it's not. We are just local people just trying to figure it out like everyone else. And so that was a big thing that turned me around, that changed my leadership. It changed how I interacted with my team. It changed how I supported them. It changed how much I was around, even though my managers run everything. I still need to show face and get to know my people because they're still looking at me to know their name to help them feel empowered, even though my managers in the location are also doing that. And so that was a really cool moment, and it hurt. It hurt to hear those things, but I learned a lot from that, and that was just 6 months ago.
man, that's definitely a defining moment, you know.
Yeah.
And sometimes people forget too, being business owners, you're pulling so many different levels. Sometimes, like even customer service, right? Yeah, you're trying, but the people forget too. We're also, a lot of us are dads and moms,
Mhm.
we're husband and wives, we also, people forget entrepreneurs, while we're talking about the superhero, we're not superhumans, right?
Yeah.
So we wear many hats, especially when you're a small business owner, and it's learning how to balance that, right? Hey, I would love to answer that 7 p.m. call, but then I'm giving my son a bath,
Yep.
and you
100%.
have to balance out like, okay, I only get to live once. My kid's only going to be 10 or 7 one time. So do I sacrifice that for the call? How important is that call, right? There's just so many things that people don't see also behind the scenes, right? And, there's one thing about, hey, knowing the people that work for you. But just while we're on the show, for all you guys on the other end too, just remember, entrepreneurs out there, small business owners, they're also human. They're people.
Yep.
There's a lot more that goes into making a high functioning business work, than you really see, right? In order for that yogurt to come out of these machines and all that stuff, there's other things that, even as an employee, you didn't know. Like even myself, when I was an employee, there's things behind the scenes I didn't know, that the ownership was going through, right? Until I sat on the driver's seat. All of a sudden, it's like, wow, there's a lot. But at the same time, I think there's ways to do it. And I think it goes for both sides, right? No matter if you're an employee or employer, it's just trying our best, right, to connect, because at the end, we're all in the people business.
Yeah, you nailed it. So a couple of things that comes up with that I want to refer to, but first I'll kind of continue the story because it's something came to my mind as you were just saying that. So when the issue with those people leaving, when they thought that we didn't care about them, that's what I was doing. I was spending at home at time with my wife and our 16-month-old, and because I didn't want to miss these years or these months. I don't want to miss when my kids are super young, because you don't get those back and they grow up so fast. It's crazy. And I haven't missed a moment. And I prided myself on that. But with that being said, they didn't know why I wasn't there at location, because there was no relationship.
That's so good.
That was the breakdown. And so now I haven't changed what I'm doing as far as the amount that I'm here, but I am increasing the amount that I'm connecting with those employees through our Discord channel, through messages that come through our managers to our team, and through me making sure that I'm at those monthly meetings so I can see them, get to know them. And now they know why I'm not there Monday through Friday, and they respect it and they love it, and they know how to get a hold of me when they need me. So really nothing has changed except for a couple hours a month, but there's a respect and a relationship there now. So that has been great. The other thing, I was doing a talk last week, and we talked about, how do you do all the stuff? How do you maintain all the stuff in your life? And I told them, and they didn't like this answer. And I said, you can't. I was like, I'm a person who loves the concept of having your cake and eating it too, but that's 2 options. You can't do a third outside of that. And what I meant by that was, I think that the 3 big things, I guess I would say, is family, work, and then leisure, hobbies, that kind of stuff. And I told them, you can do 2 of those at 100%, but you cannot do 3 of those at 100%. And 2's even hard if you're not very intentional. And they said, because they were younger, and they said, well, I don't really like that. Like, what about friends? I want to be able to build my career, see my family and that kind of stuff, but also hang out and enjoy time. And I said, you can do all 3, but it won't be at 100%. For some, it's 50. For some, it's 60. For the really good, it's going to be 70%. And for some people, that's great. But if you're wanting to really excel, certain things have to be able to fall off in certain seasons. So this season for us right now is 100% family, and it is 100% business. And whatever is left, which isn't much, is social life, events, and that kind of stuff. And it's only a season. When the kids get a little bit older and whatnot, maybe I will do a little less work, still focus on family, and then enjoy time out. So that was a cool talk, but just wanted to kind of say that too, and connecting to what you just said about family and being at home and doing bath time and being there for bedtime.
No, and it's that equation, right? Is balancing act, right? Something has to give, right? And it's either sacrificing, hey, do we scale the team so that they can help us more? It's just learning like, hey, where does that something has to give. It's either
Yep.
or, right? And that's so important to understand. And even I think in career, we're talking about it from an entrepreneur perspective, but also people, those of you who are on LinkedIn or Facebook who's trying to climb that corporate career life. Career's the same thing, right? How much do you want to give into your current role versus sacrificing other things, right? And in order to play in the top, right, you got to sacrifice. It's just like sports, right? You want to be the best? Yep.
Yeah, it takes work. It takes work and it takes sacrifice.
Yep.
It does. It does. I mean, I played sports my whole life from 3 all the way up to 23. I played football in college, and that's just ingrained in me that, and that's sometimes it's hard when I even have employees that want to just, oh, I need more money. Can I have a raise? And it's like, oh no, that doesn't go together. Like there has to be an exchange of value and skills to be able to earn a raise. You don't just get it because you want more money. We all want more money. And so to me, doing sports and that kind of stuff, like if you wanted more, i.e., to move up in the depth chart, to be able to start, to be able to be a big time contributor for your team, you got to work for it. It's hours in the gym, it's hours reading your playbook, it's hours lifting the weights and running the plays and those kinds of things. And so I love that I get to bring that to my team because, like I said, they're young, 14 through 22. A lot of times it's their first job. So we're literally getting the blessing and the honor to get to teach these kids. I say kids, I actually feel old, but they're literally kids how to work. And it's cool how when they come back and visit, how they thank us for that.
Yeah, because in a way, when you're an entrepreneur, you're put in a place of mentorship too, and people forget that. I hate the idea of like, hey, you're just a boss. You should change your mindset. You're actually a mentor, because when you help excel other people, it pays you back,
Yep.
and it's
Feel
all
really
about,
good.
encouraging others. How can we make them better? Not how can we make your organization better? How can you earn that extra money? It's much more than that. And that's where business is going. All right. It kind of goes hand in hand with our last question. What are the
All right.
attributes that defines a hero?
Well, so being someone, obviously you can see I'm a very big nerd. I love video game type stuff with Legend of Zelda and Mario. I love superheroes, DC and Marvel characters. I would say it depends on the kind of hero that you're trying to be. I think there's a lot of different kinds of heroes with a lot of different skill sets and a lot of different focuses. I would say that there's a certain amount that relate to all of them. I think heroes are incredibly disciplined. I think heroes are incredibly empathetic and compassionate because they're doing good for a reason. I don't know many very popular heroes, either superhero, fictional, or actual heroes in our life that we look up to that are so narcissistic. So they do things just for themselves. Granted, we do a little bit, but it's to help and to serve. And so there has to be an empathy and a compassion there, a certain amount of hard work, a certain amount of teamwork that gets involved. Because if you're a hero in some capacity, you probably have people who you recruited to help you with your mission to push forward even faster. I would say purpose. So anyone that I know that's a hero is very deeply steeped in a reason for them getting up every single day to push forward, to achieve, to help, to serve, all those different kinds of things. I would say passion. You have to be passionate about what you do, or just your energy isn't going to be there. So those are some of the words I think that relate to all different heroes in one capacity or another. But I think the one that comes to me that's one of the most important is just what's most unique to you. So if you look at these different heroes, they have different outfits, they have different sizes, different skill sets, all that kind of stuff. Or heroes in our life, mine or my parents, also a couple of my football coaches over the years, and then some random people have been there. And if I lined all of my heroes up in my world, none of them are the same. And I don't go to them for the same thing either. They're unique in their own right, and they have a certain characteristic that makes me choose my dad as a hero, my mom as a hero, my grandma as a hero, my football coach in college as a hero, and so on. So being uniquely yourself whenever you're on your journey to become your best version of yourself, you're going to be a hero, but people are going to look up to you for a certain reason, not just because you mimic that person over there. So I think that's a really, really big thing, is that uniqueness, just kind of being your true self and allowing the people who need what you have to offer to be able to find that in you. So.
And I just feel, there's someone out there, in the audience who's going to watch this. I think it's important to know, all right, we all have a uniqueness,
Yeah.
And it's just letting the world see it, it's somewhere there, I mean, sometimes, I come across people while I'm doing this digital marketing coaching or talk about being authentic, and then you hear this quite a bit actually. Oh, well, I don't really have anything that's really out of this world unique, or I don't, and it's not true.
Yeah.
Well, we all have something to offer. You're uniquely you, and and sometimes it's just being yourself. And I think we get so caught up. Oh, I see Grant Cardone. Ooh, Gary Vaynerchuk. Oh, I see this. Oh, Tony Robbins, Elon Musk. I want to be like them. How can you be like you?
Yep.
Those guys are just being themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Gary's not looking to be anyone else, and he's very straightforward. He's just being himself.
Yep.
If you do that, you will connect to the right people just by being you. And the people that, if you're trying too hard to be something else and you're trying to engage and connect by being someone you're not, those don't work out anyway.
Yeah. People have a sixth sense to be able to feel your energy and to know if you're being authentic or not. And if we're not, people are going to sniff that out, and your success in that regard is not going to be sustainable. And or you are not going to be able to build a community and have actual legit followers, I will say, to get to where you want to go. So, I mean, authenticity is huge and is fueled by your uniqueness, like bringing the best version of you to the table, not the best version of Tony Robbins Jr. or Gary V. Light. Like, you don't want that. People are going to see that, and people are attracted to vulnerability and authenticity.
Yep. All right. If you had to pick one, just one superhero, you have a lineup back there. Who would you say you're most like?
Oh, shoot. Most like.
And why, right? Like a mainstream superhero that, Yep.
I don't know. I wouldn't say that I'm like one right now. I will say my favorite is Superman.
Okay.
And everyone says Superman's so boring, he's so overpowered, all these different things. The reason why I love Superman is he is an immigrant from another place. He came to Earth. He was raised as an Earthling. So, I mean, if we look at that in the sense of, America, people coming to this country and are immigrants from somewhere else, trying to live the American dream. He had all the power in the world, could do anything, could crush anyone, could take over this world. He had all this strength, all this power. Instead of dominating the earth, he set out to make other people's lives better. Like Spider-Man's line, what Uncle Ben said to Spider-Man of, with great power comes great responsibility. That's a cool line to say to Spider-Man, but that's the ultimate one for Superman. Like, he had all the power and held all the responsibility to do the right thing for the underdogs, for the little guy, for the little girl, and did it without being corrupted. And so I look at his story, and he's just like this dude that was raised on a farm in Kansas. One of the cool lines I remember saying, Superman saved this kid in the streets of Metropolis, and the kid was like, "Dude, cool suit." And he goes, "Yeah, my mama made it." He goes, "Yeah." He said, "Thanks, my mom made it." And I'm like, how wholesome for this alien from another planet to be able to just be so wholesome and nice. And people call him boring. I would rather have way more boring people in the world that are wholesome and nice like that and hold the power. You know, we talk about toxic masculinity in our time. I think that I don't love that term. I think it's overused. I think the men that I love and I follow are super freaking masculine, but they match that with a softness where they show their heart and they have a purpose and something that they stand for. So if you can match the masculine with some feminine energy as well, coming out in compassion and vulnerability, I think it's a beautiful thing. And to me, Superman exudes that, i.e., why he's the best.
That's good. So, Isaac, before we end here, how can people follow you? How can they connect? Yep.
Yeah, so I'm at Isaac Lee Collins on all social media sites. That's pretty much it. That's how you can connect with me. I hang out mostly on LinkedIn or Instagram, so DM me if you have any questions. And yeah, follow along the journey. I'm super passionate about what I do. I love entrepreneurship. I love coaching other people to be successful. Have another company that's coming down the pipe, which I'll be announcing here in the next few months. And hope it's going to add a lot of value to people out there. But if you want to talk superheroes or talk kids, hit me up. Those are my favorite conversations right now. So at Isaac Lee Collins, anywhere and everywhere.
Yep. So just before we end here is remember, live with a purpose. It's all about your why, and hey, we're all superheroes in our own way,
Yeah.
We just have to give. We just have to live with a purpose. So, all right, have a good rest of your afternoon. For some of you, it's actually morning. So either or, nighttime, morning. Have a good one. Later.